You're listening to All Things Real Estate on Full Service Radio, 830 WCRN. Once again, here's your hosts, Gary Kelley and Brad Avergon.
Welcome back to the second half of All Things Real Estate with Gary Kelley from RE/MAX and
Brad Avergon from Envision Bank and Mortgage.
So Brad, we were talking about how folks, I want to tease and say how your wife overspent a renovation budget, and that's not the case.
She did not overspend it. She spent correctly. It was just at a higher quality level than perhaps I would have gone into the renovation with.
Okay, you keep that spin on it. But one of the things when you buy a house, particularly if you're a first-time buyer, there are things that you want to do to the home. And I tell people, the first year you're in the house, you're going to be inside, you're going to be painting, you might do some work in the kitchen, that kind of stuff. The second year, you're going to be outside. That's when you're going to focus on the lawn, planting beds, etc. But if a home needs more work than just cosmetics and might need a lot of cosmetics, or the wallpaper has, or if you're back in the age of paneling, or I'm going to go so far as to say, what if we have lead paint? We've got to deal with that because there might be a child in the home.
Right.
How do people pay for that?
So there's a number of ways. One of the ways that I encourage people to look at a home is that what's the monthly cost going to be, and can they afford on a monthly basis to do the improvements? If they can't afford to do the improvements on a monthly basis, then we have to incorporate that up front. So for example, you brought up some of the cosmetic things. Cosmetic things are great because they can be, most of the time, they can be done over time. They're not going to influence necessarily livability. But the first thing we always have to talk about is the safety issue. So for example, if there's a safety issue, you brought up the case where somebody might have small children. If there's no banisters and rail around the deck, that could be a safety issue. Somebody could be hurt there. If there's, you brought up lead paint. If they have a small child, you might want to look into, well, what does it cost to encapsulate lead paint? What would be involved in that? One of the ways that folks can do that is they can look at try to minimizing their down payment, then perhaps do their renovation. So rather than come in with 10 or even 20% down, maybe come in with 5% down and save some money so that they can do some of those renovations, the safety ones, the important ones, very quickly. And then the other renovations, maybe the paint and paper, the cosmetic, that they can do over time. And so we have that talk. We have that discussion about budgets. What does it look like? And what's it going to look like after they're done? After they buy the home, after you and I have helped them, purchase that property, cash flow. What is their income going to be looking like? What do they anticipate increases going forward? Are they both going to be in the workplace, or is one going to be leaving? Lots of those questions have to come up, and they're important questions.
I think it's one of the things that's fun for Sue and I is when we get invited back to someone's home, we help them locate it. We went through the thrill of locating it, the financing and all that. We got to the closing table, and then we stay in touch, but they're on their own. The training wheels are off, and it's fun for us to get invited back so that they can show us the things that they've done to the home. Because they're proud. This is truly American dream time. They're proud. We also get the baby notices on first-time buyers. A lot. You're part of what they're doing, what they're living, and that's exciting. That's part of why real estate can be fun.
Absolutely, it's a big part, I think, of the enjoyment of what we do is helping people achieve their dreams. That's it, right?
So when you talk to someone and they need to have monies, what about doing a renovation loan? Sometimes people say, I can do a 401k? No, it's a 203k. Why don't you talk about the different kinds of loans out there?
So there are a number of different types of loans. Right now, a lot of the renovation loans, so they've tightened up because FHA is priced out a little bit. We think they're going to come back again. But that's the 203k loan you hear about. It's a federal housing administration program. And it's a great program. It really is. It allows people to get in with 3.5% down payment and incorporate the cost of the renovations into the property. So that's a great program. There's also other renovation programs maybe have a little bit higher down payment. Mass Housing has one that's a 5% down payment program that works out very, very well. And then even Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have one as well. So that requires a little bit more of a down payment. But the whole idea behind the renovation programs are simply this. If the cost to renovate the property to make it livable exceeds what you have in savings after the closing, or what you're going to be able to save up after the closing, then it's important that you incorporate those changes into the purchase of the property. So you say, okay, the property's going to cost us X, it's going to cost us Y in renovations, therefore Z is our total cost, and we get a loan based on that. And that's where a renovation loan comes in. There are other situations where the renovations may be minor, or the buyer was planning, as I said, to come in with 10 or 20% down, where I may say, you know what, you could do some of these renovations on your own, maybe the paint and paper, maybe you need a contractor, maybe you need an electrician, but you don't need to incorporate them into a renovation loan specifically. Why don't we try coming in with a 3% first-time home buyer down payment, or a 5% down payment? And we'll try to get you into the property, and we'll leave that extra cushion, those funds, so that you can do those improvements either yourself or you can hire a contractor to do that.
There are times that we actually work with people and they're talking about all the renovations they want to do. And we'll say to them, are you handy? Do you have, friends and family that are in the trades? Because sometimes people's vision is more than they can afford. And if you don't have, folks that can help with some of that, it can be really expensive to hire it all done. And that's something that, if you've got someone that is excited about a house and they really want to make it work, you got to sometimes have that frank discussion and say, are you really going to be able to do this? Or is this something that's going to end up being something you regret later? Right. That to me is a tough conversation to have.
It is, but I think it's an important one, Gary, because you're right. We live in the land of HGTV, where miraculously in 30 minutes, a house is transformed from a dump into a palace. And I think your experience in kind of taking that the mystique, the magical 30-minute window there away, and saying, look, if there's a little bit more to this involved, are you prepared to do that? I think that's an important part of the process. Of evaluating, is this going to be a good home for you? Again, this is for you, it's a lot more about the client than about the sale. Are you going to be happy in this house? Is this a good match? Because if not, let's look at another house. Let's find another opportunity. And in a sense, I do the same thing. I'll talk with clients and say, look, you're planning on doing this, this, and this. So first of all, are these needs or are these wants? If you need to do this, then that's something we need to incorporate in. If these are wants, are you willing to let any of these things go? Or if they need to happen, can you afford to do it? That's where I look at all those things, because the last thing you or I want is to put somebody into a home and all of a sudden they don't have either enough money to finish the projects that they wanted, and they're unhappy. They're living filled with stress because they can't afford the monthly payments.
The other thing that we sometimes get into is the first-time buyers. Let's say a young couple. They've identified a home and they're all excited. And you start to have the discussion about, okay, you buy this house and then you're going to put together a 10-year plan for renovations. And as a part of that, somewhere in here, you're going to get married, and then maybe you're going to have children come along. And you look at them and say, so let me get this right. And it's a hard discussion. It's one where you just try to open their eyes so that they can make the right decision for them. But you say, if you're looking at a 10-year renovation process and you're looking at having children in 5 years, the chances are, as a parent, the chances are your time's going to get consumed with the children. And, have you, again, bitten off more than you should chew?
Right. And I think that's where that guidance comes in. But that being said, I think you have proposed a lot of solutions to clients, where they're coming into a property and the property may need something, or they don't have have incredible vision to be able to see what something could look like, with sometimes some minor fixes here and there. And being able to show them that and saying, not only let's visualize what this could look like, but also what would be the cost involved to do this? Maybe the cost is minor. Maybe it's not a big deal. It's just the difference between circa 1960, decorating style and something more modern, something more open. So
it is nice to be able to, Sue and I do enough business that we're able to pick up the phone and call the carpet guy and say, I've got a room this size. What's it going to take to put some carpet down?
right.
And it's not, it's not a fine estimate. This is meat cleaver accuracy as opposed to fine surgery. But you can get a number, a planning number that they can work with. Brad, if someone wants to talk to you after the show, how do they reach you?
Best way to reach me is either email me at Avergon, that's BAVERGON @envisionbank.com, ENVISION bank.com, or call me, it's even better, at 978-375-5531. Gary, how do they reach you?
I can be reached at by phone 508-733-6005 or at Gary@movewithgary.com. We want to thank you for listening to All Things Real Estate on WCRN. We want to thank Ted, who's behind the glass, making us sound decent. And hope everyone has a good month, and tune in again next time.
You've been listening to All Things Real Estate on Full Service Radio, 830 WCRN.